What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're gonna go over how to build a call center. Now, this is pretty complex, but I'm gonna break it down so that literally anybody can do it. Now, this works best for people that have lead gen agencies, but you can still use it if you have a sales team, SDR team, info product, coaching offer, literally whatever. I'm just gonna be going over a lot of the ways that we use it inside of our lead gen. Now, before we jump in, just to give you a little bit of context, this is the exact same system that we used to build the call center inside my first agency, which we scaled to $260K a month, and then we sold the business. And now my second agency is a lead gen agency, and we've scaled it to $330,000 per month in only 4.5 months, all because we built out this call center. We're also shooting for $1 million a month in 2025, but more on that in another video. So in this training, we're gonna go over section by section. This is really a free masterclass. We could charge a lot of money for the value that we're gonna give today, but we're gonna be going through section by section, building the call center infrastructure, putting the softwares in place that you'll need to actually run a call center, hiring reps for your call center, managing those reps at scale, and then just growing your company overall once you have the call center completed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this completely free masterclass. Really quickly, before we go into building over a call center infrastructure, I wanna go over why this is so important. Yeah, I just wanted to splice myself in here. I'll tell you why it's so important, Hunter. It's because if you can master client delivery service with a call center solution, your clients are gonna absolutely love it. So we ran a Black Friday deal. Today is Black Friday. And all we did was send a post for people to sign up for like 5 to 8 grand of this upsell. And we just got comment after comment of people that are like, yes, just bill my card. I don't even care. So they're literally addicted to the service, and we were able to bill 56 grand today, and the day's not over. So we're going to see if by the weekend we can pull 100K. So this is absolutely insane, and yeah, we're definitely gonna surpass 400K this month. That's why it's important, but back to the video. There are so many different gurus on YouTube and Instagram, these SMMA guys teaching you, hey, if you just learn copywriting or media buying and running ads, you can scale to $10,000 a month. And you can, but I'm not in this business to make $10,000 a month. I'm in this to make $83,333 a month in profit. The only way that you can actually do that in 2025 is by not being considered a commodity. And all of these agencies that you've seen across the board that do lead gen just like everybody else, they're fighting an uphill battle unnecessarily because they are a commoditized service. So what we do differently, and how we were able to scale to 330K in only 4 months, and by the time of recording this, we're about to hit 400K this month, is we're not commoditized. We're doing something different than all of the other agencies inside of our niche, and it's by building a call center correctly and actually being able to showcase those results. Because even if most agencies say that they build a call center, really what they're doing is just outsourcing things overseas. And I can speak from experience in my first business, that doesn't work long term. It can be a little band-aid solution that you use to sell new clients and this unique selling proposition that you call, but it's ultimately gonna create super big headaches, a lot of chargebacks from your customers and missed expectations. You're never gonna hit the KPIs that you actually want with a white label call center service. And lastly, you're never gonna be looked at seriously by a potential buyer if you ever wanna sell your company. So with that being said, now that you're on the same page that you actually need to build an internal call center, well, what does that really require? So let's jump into building the call center infrastructure. All right, so in actually building out this call center infrastructure, I wanna start with just a couple mistakes that we made the first time so that we can learn from that and do the exact opposite. I'm also gonna be dropping SOPs throughout every single section so that you guys can copy our call center verbatim and have amazing results too. So in building out the infrastructure, what we did incorrectly the first time was we relied on talent, not on standard operating procedure. So we would hire great sales reps to come in and jump on the phones and set our appointments, but what we noticed is there was no real standard that we could hold these people to because we were really relying on their talent. This is super common in most startup businesses. You know, I'll just throw a general number, businesses kind of under 50 to 100K a month, just really under 100K a month. These are considered startups. So what you'll mostly find is that you're hiring on talent, you're not really holding people to standards, and when those standards aren't met, there's really no punishment or encouragement for going above standards. It's just kind of relying on the people's effort. So we made that mistake in the beginning, and it led to a lot of heartache. The next thing was, in relying on talent, was the onboarding. So we would come in, we would just drop a bunch bunch of sales recordings of how we wanted the job done, how we wanted our reps to take appointments, and it really didn't do a good job of tying the whole picture together. And I noticed by the way that I onboarded people in the beginning, there were just questions after questions after questions all day long, and I felt like I was wasting a lot of time in onboarding new reps. The last thing was we didn't have any sort of scorecard, so there was no graded metric on standard, and then their compensation, we had a bunch of different compensation plans for each different rep, so it was miserable. And then lastly, the meeting cadence. We didn't really meet often with these people, so we just kind of held them to a standard that didn't exist. We didn't onboard them well, we had no way to grade them, and we didn't meet with them. I know that sounds insanely bad, but to be honest, most of you guys are gonna go through exactly what I did, so I wanna save you the heartache. So when starting from the top, you guys need to SOP out the exact system that you want your internal sales reps to follow. So SOPs, or standard operating procedures, should spell out the role day by day when they clock in, what they're doing from start, how many breaks they're getting throughout the day, what the meeting cadence is gonna look like throughout the week, what's a mandatory attendance for those meetings, different KPIs and things that you're looking for right out the gate. I'm gonna include that below ours, but that's something that you need to actually onboard new reps. So the second thing in that onboarding, we actually created a training library, and these are just video by video, how to use the different softwares that we have, scripts, and a bunch of other resources that the reps will need in their daily life, so that when I told you before we got a ton of questions, after reps going through our new onboarding library, they really don't ask questions. So they're just going in and learning, and then a week in, we start them dialing. The next thing you want to build out, which I'm going to include below, is a scorecard. And I don't know why this took me like 4 or 5 years to learn to just do this, but I actually learned this from another agency owner, Stevie Johnston. And at the time of recording this, I think he's above like $600,000 a month. And his huge claim to fame is that he built a world-class call center inside of his lead gen agency. So what I learned from Stevie, and I actually even got to see some of his scorecards, is how he grades his reps on performance, how that affects their compensation plan, and how that really buys them into the culture and company message and core values so that they continue to try their hardest day after day. And one of the big problems in building a call center is the attrition rate, or the churn rate. If you don't know what either of those means, it just means people quitting and leaving. But when you do a proper onboarding and you have scorecards, which gets people really excited month by month, well, they're gonna keep trying and doing better so that they stick around for way longer. The other thing is the compensation plan. I'll even include that below too, but that's listed in our scorecard. Normally we're giving reps anywhere from a base around like $1,500 a month to $2,000 a month. And on top of that is commission, in which they can earn anywhere from like an extra, $1,500 to $2,500 a month. So the last thing that we have set and we've stuck to, like it's the Bible, like this is gospel, is our meeting cadence. So what we've noticed is when you let reps, any type of sales reps, I'm talking closers, internal sales reps, appointment setters, and SDRs, the longer you let these people go without meetings, the worse they tend to do in their performance. And it doesn't need to be this micromanagey thing that you need to breathe down their neck and see what they're doing hour by hour, but it's something where the less you meet with them, the less bought in they feel. They don't feel like they have a relationship with you, the business owner, or any other team members. Sales can be a very thankless, like push to the side job. So there's not a lot of interaction with other people in the company. So meeting cadence, not only do they need that face-to-face time, but they need training. And what the great Alex Hermosi tells us is that often we don't really need to learn new things. We just need to be reminded of what we already know. So those things are so important for our meeting cadence, which we meet twice a week on training and once per week to go over like team goals, vision, what the KPIs are for this week for big bonuses. So it's 2 hour-long meetings a week and one quick little, 15-minute to half-hour check-in to progress the week and talk about what we have and what we're looking forward to. So holistically, this is everything that you need to build an infrastructure right out the gate, but now we're gonna go over things like softwares, hiring and managing, and kick your feet up because this stuff does get a little nerdy and it's boring, but I promise you, if you actually wanna make a ton of money in 2025, you're gonna have to do this anyways. So don't take this video for granted. We could charge a lot of money for this video, but we're gonna go ahead and give it to you guys for free just because that's what we like to do. So lock in. I don't know if you need to go get a coffee or something, but it's about to get real. So our SOPs and onboarding, we like to keep things super simple. So we house everything inside of a Google Drive account where our entire company can access it. So inside of sales trainings for our call center, we have scripts, call recordings, training recordings, and then for onboarding, we have like how-to videos and FAQs on the actual software itself that we use, which we'll get into a little bit later. But you guys don't have to create super fancy things. You just have to think, if I was an internal sales agent, appointment setter, SDR, ISA, whatever you want to call it for your call center, what would be my best practices every single day if I wanted to impress myself? Then you just build standard operating procedure around it. So you just make a very simple Google Doc and then just processes and how to use the software and scripts and recordings, and people can learn really quickly. So people should be able to be onboarded for an internal call center like within a week. It's super simple. So you don't have to make this super complex, and you can house it inside of Google Drive just like us. I will give you an exact example of a scorecard we use because I think most people understand, hey, here's what's a standard operating procedure. Hey, let me just get an onboarding set up. But when it comes to a scorecard, most people don't know what it's actually used for. So scorecards are really important because it aligns your hiring expectations for the rest of their time here inside your company. And I learned a lot, actually. People sleep on Layla Hermosi, but I learned a lot from her on the hiring process. And what I learned specifically is how you hire somebody is exactly how they're going to show up in the baseline and what you said of expectations. So if you're onboarding somebody and there's no clear defined expectation or clear definition of what's good and what's bad, then people will mostly resort to their comfort zone. It's like the same thing in anything in life. I used to be a personal trainer. If I wasn't watching people's form, they would revert to the easiest way of doing things when we wanted to make it hard so that the muscles grew. It's the same thing in life, and yep, such is life. So here's an example of our exact scorecard. So what we would do is bring this on our interviews with people, and we would go over this so it'll make sense. And then we hold people to this for the rest of their time here. So we just revert back to it when doing performance reviews. So we had company core values. We believe in radical transparency, speed is king, better every day, and hunger. These are pretty stereotypical things for sales. And we have the comp plan here. So if you guys want our exact comp plan, here's KPIs that are set. And this is where we started to get into it. So we want to see below average, we want to see average, and we want to see above average so that we can, do the attaboy, good job, you're above average, you're crushing it. But we also want to see what's below average, and we want to define it. So we can see how many dials are being made, how many set appointments are being made, and then the show rate. So this is below average for us, having like a 50% show rate, or 49 rather. 230 or 49% or lower, 239 set appointments. So it breaks down to the daily too. So this is what we consider below average, and I'll get into what happens if you're below average for too long. Here's a 30-day minimum KPI average. So we're looking at 7,000 monthly dials, 249 set or more, and a 50% show rate. So we're getting a little bit more dials every single day. And then we go through our 30-day above average. So these people are crushing inside of our company. They're doing so well. They're getting pats on the back. They're getting highlighted in the Team Wins channel. They're getting comp bumps. Even like some promotions and leading the other team, they're just having a blast because they're doing above average work. So they're setting 300 plus appointments. Their show rate is 60% plus, which in our industry is just absolutely outstanding. And then there's things that the client can do on their end to get the show rate even higher. But this is just what we're looking for on a definitive, hey, here's what I expect from you if you want to be above average and make a lot of money. And here's the exact, just like I'm teaching you guys how to build a call center, you need to teach your own clients how to do the best job that they can to make the most money. It's almost like you're making a little course inside of your company so that these people can take it and run with it. So, yep, we got a base compensation. They get $2 per appointment and then $5 if they show, so an extra $3. There's a bunch of spiffs that we run and things like that. And yeah, here's basically what we're going over: performance expectations and consequences for not meeting KPIs. So we're expected to hit our KPIs. If you fail to meet them after the second week working with us, you may lose your spot on the team. So you guys might not have to go as hard on this, We've done this for a long time, and we found if people go through our onboarding experience, they know the exact KPIs that we set, meaning you have to dial this amount of people, and they just don't do the simple work. It's not going to work out long term. So maybe you guys want to give it a longer period of time to make it work if you're just starting. I get that, but for us, we just do it in 2 weeks. So additionally, if you don't meet the calling KPI in the first month, yeah, you may also be removed from the team. So should you fall short of your KPIs for a month, you're required to submit a detailed reflection outlining what happened and why you didn't hit the KPIs. So this is the other thing. Often, well, I'll actually give you a story. We almost cut one of our top performing call center agents, and it was just because they had a horrible month. But they were really quiet and they weren't communicating in Slack. And I reached out to this person because I really liked them. And it wasn't until we hopped on a Zoom, they broke down. They're having a lot of problems at home, struggles with a relationship. They have a kid. They have so much they're working through that they almost couldn't get out of bed in the morning. They were just so stressed. So we worked through that. We were actually able to help them. And because they were one of the best performing agents and we knew that wasn't their normal, we still set a deadline and held them to these expectations. And we say, hey, I know life's tough and we're going to help, but you need to hit at least these KPIs. And they did, and they made a bunch of money and it worked out and they're great and they're still with us. So if you fail to meet your KPIs for 2 consecutive months or more, you will also be removed. So yeah, we're looking at in the first 2 weeks, we have harsh expectations. You gotta stick to it. Then after that first 2 weeks, if you go 2 months in a row without hitting KPIs of at least average, then yeah, you're probably going to get cut from the team. So the beauty of this and having a scorecard is that these expectations that you set for people, you hype them up on the wins, the company core values, where we're going as a company. You know, we're going to scale to $1 million a month in 2025. You're going to be a part of it. You get to brag about this. This is your baby just like it is ours. And there's potential promotions and team management positions that you can also make extra money for. So we're getting them really excited out the gate. But then we're hitting them hard with reality, which is, hey, if you're not hitting this goal, then yeah, you'll most likely be cut from the team. And on any sales position ever, when you hire people, you have to set the expectations of what it will take to be cut. Otherwise, they'll always push the boundaries or see how much they can get away with. And this is just common in sales. And I've been doing this for 8 years. And this has worked way better for me. This is another thing, if you guys are anxious about talking to people that are underperforming and you don't want to have these tough conversations and maybe you're not scared to do it, but you don't have time to do it, you just set the expectations up front. So you can say, hey, Hunter, this is the second month in a row. We're going to talk about a performance improvement plan, which is over the next 2 weeks, I need you to hit these amount of KPIs. And if you don't, you're out. Got it? So it's a very clear cut, very simple. We remove emotion from it. We can still be friends with people, but we're holding them accountable to a big KPI. This is a super simplified version of it. You guys can just kind of copy and paste this inside your business. Post core values, compensation plans, and then what's expected as KPIs and what's going to happen if they don't hit them. So definitely use scorecards. Build the onboarding process inside just a simple Google Drive, put all the SOPs in there and how to use the software, which I'm just going to give you in a second because I'm going to show you the software that we use. And then the other thing, which is implemented in our updated version of our scorecard, is just meeting cadence. So like, hey, you're expected to meet twice a week for an hour. And then on these meetings, you can show up and just pop in and out. This is mainly for the management, but you got to pop in and out. So another thing is like, hey, whenever we're meeting, cameras are on, all that great stuff. So this is really how you set company culture and hold people to standards. All right, now let's go over company software. This is something that I like to nerd out about, and I think I can literally save you guys if you just pay attention and actually do what I say. I think I can save you years of mistakes that I made and probably close to like $80,000 to $85,000 in softwares that were needlessly spent, by the way. It might sound like a lot of money, but it was needlessly spent. So it's doubly as painful. We didn't end up using it at all and it didn't produce us a return on investment. So that was just a huge sunken cost. So I'm going to save you guys a lot of time. So when we talk about softwares for building a call center, we really need 3 things. So we'll just make a little Venn diagram here. I just love Venn diagrams.
I love Venn diagrams. I really do.
But your software, it has to be extremely fast. It has to be scalable. Geez, I can't spell. scalable, and then you have to have a management piece in it. So it'll have a ton of visibility over management. And the reason that these three are very important, and I'm gonna go over a bunch of softwares and which one's the best, is because if it's not fast, your production will be terrible. So even if it has the other two and it's scalable and it works, but it's a really slow software and you can manage it, it's not gonna work. If it's really fast and has good management, but it's not scalable, then maybe you could only use it for like a couple clients before it dies out and kills your production. And the last piece is, if it's very speedy and very scalable, but you don't have management inside, now you're like me, where you're relying on talent of your agents and you really can't manage anything. Your scorecards are worthless. Everything you built is worthless. In my opinion, management is one of the most important pieces. So here's a couple problems with what you guys are probably doing right now. We have Go High Level, for example, and I don't want to talk trash on GHL because I made a ton of money from it. I love it. I know the guys that created it, and they're good people. GHL is amazing, but the problem is GHL itself is very slow. It claims to be scalable, but geez, I can't spell. Just, you know what that is, scalable. It's not very scalable unless you use something inside of it called ELIZA, but when we used ELIZA to swap between different sub-accounts and make things faster, it actually made GHL even slower. So it didn't even solve the thing that it was trying to do. And then there is like zero management piece. The problem was in building an internal call center my first time around, we hired a bunch of people. It was super slow. They were making like, 70 to 100 dials a day. And we thought that that was a good KPI. But if you guys just saw on our scorecard, we want people to literally make 7,000 dials a month. So a lot of our reps, what they're able to do, it was 9,000 a month. So they're able to do 450 to 500 dials every single day, but they just needed the right software to do it. And they didn't have that before. So that was a huge problem that we had to solve. We knew Go High Level wasn't gonna be it. And it was too slow, it was zero management, and just because you can't see anything, like you would have to go in and see all the different things that your reps are doing, it just doesn't work. All right, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. It just doesn't work. We've spent way too much time in there as a company ourselves, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. Then we have a couple other exciting ones. So we have Wave and Kixie. Here's the problem with Wave. Apparently it directly integrates with GHL, and as marketers we're like, wow, that's really cool. Nope. It's not, because it integrates with GHL, which is already slow. Wave is super slow, so it's not gonna work. Kixie is awesome because it has a bunch of number pooling, which we'll get into. Basically, number pooling is like, it can do local presence. If a number gets flagged as spam, it'll get you a new one. So that was really cool. But what we found was Kixie was not able, all right, apparently I can't spell. It's very hard to multitask, just give me a break on this one. But it wasn't scalable. So there were a bunch of problems that we found in Kixie for going over multiple client campaigns that we would have to open multiple tabs, or it just kind of sucked overall. So we spent a ton of money on all three of these. We even paid some coders to go into GHL and build us some special stuff just to find out literally none of these works. And it wasn't until, we just gave up completely and we went and white labeled our call center, which I told you guys not to do because it's very stressful. But the white label, there were a lot of problems in that we couldn't manage the team. It was just up to the white label. If a client had a complaint about our call center, it's not like we're gonna tell the white label because they're not even gonna care. But what we did find in that white label, even though it was kind of a miserable experience and I don't recommend it to anybody, was they were using an amazing software. And in comes Hot Prospector. Holy crap. I need a coffee or something because I've been recording for a while. So in comes Hot Prospector, and it has all three of these things. It's extremely fast, it's super scalable, meaning that like all our different client accounts and sub accounts, we could put them into one, upload it at the top, have all our reps go in. That's the only way that they were able to do 400 to 500 dials a day. Literally nothing else could do that. Super fast, scalable, and then the management piece. So the management piece is insane. And I'm gonna get into this and share my screen in a minute, but we could basically see like hour by hour what reps are doing. We could see time gaps between when they're dialing, so we know when they're taking way too long of breaks, which you guys have to be careful in building an internal call center, because a lot of people, what they wanna do is hire overseas. And when you do that, there are scammers out there that will time scam you to be like, yeah, I worked 8 hours today. And it might, show that and reflect that, but they're taking like hour breaks throughout the day. So we could see all of that inside of Hot Prospector. So I'll share my screen and get into it, but Hot Prospector is like the only thing that we recommend, and I would for you guys too. I think starting out, it's like $297 a month, and then I did pay a $997 setup fee so that I could hop on with the owner himself and get him to like help us build out and just consult over like a little consulting call. That was money extremely well spent. Like we spent, again, like $80K on this other crap and coding, and it didn't work. So I would highly recommend Hot Prospector. It starts at around $297 a month, and there's a setup fee. I don't know if it's optional, but if it's not, like, don't worry, I would 100% pay it because you guys can get help building it out. But we're gonna go over more of that in a second and how you guys can build it out. So here's the actual reason that we signed up with Hot Prospector, and it's for a couple key things. Number one is it's super, super quick. So when comparing to Go High Level, again, love the guys, but it's not even close. Go High Level super, super slow, and there's some days where your loading bar will just literally be loading forever. And it's just like a common thing that people accept. They're like, oh, Go High Level slow today, as if it's just a normal thing. So super frustrating. And the other softwares that claim to fix it, they're either inside of Go High Level, integrated directly, which is the problem itself, or they claim to fix it, but it's only like marginally improved. So Hot Prospector was easily the quickest for us. The other thing is we wanted visibility for our clients to see the work that we were actually doing. So the problem with like Kixie and these other things, you can pay for expensive coding to go back to Go High Level, but it's just so complex, you don't need to do it. Hot Prospector was directly built for Go High Level. So a couple other things too, like HubSpot, Close.io or com or whatever it is now. So it's a couple, but Go High Level specifically, it will directly integrate. So all the good work that you're doing inside of Hot Prospector, your clients can actually see it. So like the SMS text, all the outgoing dials. And it was a problem with these other softwares that didn't do this because we would be dialing and working really hard, but the client wouldn't see it. So they would actually accuse us of lying to them. And they were like, yeah, I'm going to charge back. You guys aren't doing work. So your clients need to be able to see all the hard work that you're doing. So the other thing that was super important was speed to lead. So yeah, like don't get me wrong, any software can do this. We just found Hot Prospector to be one of the best ways of doing it. So I think before, when we were trying to get our speed to lead down to 5 minutes, because if you guys look at this specific Harvard business study, put on my diploma, this Harvard business study showed that if you call a lead within 10 minutes versus 5, you decrease the likelihood by getting to that lead by 4x or 400%, which is astronomical. So we needed to get that speed to lead down to 5 minutes, and all these other softwares were too slow to do it, and they also weren't able to do it at scale. So what we found inside of Hot Prospector is we would load up the chamber with all the new leads that came in from the night before. So we start dialing them, and then any new leads that came in immediately got priority and were dialed next. So if I go and share my screen and show you guys, we're dialing leads within like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes, but it's always under 5. And that has been a huge night and day difference in the amount of appointments that were set. Again, you just physically can't do this thing. Like get speed to lead down, unless like I'm sure there's other softwares. This is just what we specifically use, and I'm going to train you guys on how to use it. So the other thing is it has great number pooling. So it's like I was saying before, if you guys don't know what number pooling is, if you go to Go High Level and you're going to dial out of it like an idiot, and you're going to go wait a week or two for A2P registration, meaning that you go out and get a number, it has to go get approved by the gods, or I don't even know who approves it, but that takes so long, and then it immediately gets flagged because you're dialing so much. So inside a Hot Prospector, we have like hundreds of different numbers. We dial from a local presence. I'm from Baltimore. If I call, it's going to be like a 410. And the other thing is, if it ever gets flagged as spam, it'll immediately replace it to the next one. So it has great number pooling. The other thing is the scalability. So here's what we did inside of Hot Prospector. We have, I don't even know, 120, 30, I don't know, I'll check in a second, different clients, and we upload all of these sub-accounts to one master sub-account, and we split our call center in teams. And we're gonna go over all this, but we basically have our first point of connection team. So they're the ones calling all the newest leads from last night, and then all the brand new leads get uploaded to the top of the list immediately. So they're just sniping all day fresh leads. And then we have a follow-up team that will follow up after 72 hours, they'll go and do all the follow-up dials. So we have the immediate people, and then we have our follow-up team. So we split them into two, and it wasn't physically possible to do this at scale with some of the other softwares that we saw, and we tried them all. So it's how we built it out that made it very scalable so that we could do this for tons of different multiple sub-accounts that get uploaded into one master sub-account, and we just split it in two teams. I've seen other people do this, and I'm not gonna say which people, but there's one person that has an amazing call center, but I think they dial out of a bunch of different sub-accounts. So I think they do amazing work, but their cost for their call center is probably wildly inflated, like wildly. They could probably save so much more in profit if they just used Hot Prospector, for example, or a software like it that you can upload all these things into one master account, because it's not like you don't know which client you're calling from. So I'll go over this in a second, but you can very easily see custom values and go high level. That's like, hey, I'm calling for XYZ company and it's XYZ client name, and it's this custom value, it's right on 4th Street down the road. So like they have all these things, they can 100% dial multiple different sub accounts. So we have a team of about 8 ISAs right now, internal sales agents, and they're dialing for like 130 different people. So it's just because we set the systems right. So our call center only costs us like 20 grand a month, when I think anybody else doing it differently, it might cost them like 80 grand a month, which is just so dumb, because you could easily solve it. Last thing is, you guys really just can't rely on your reps to make dials. So we don't want to rely on talent at all. We want to rely on systems, and I'll just star that. So it's very important for us that we rely on systems. That's a terrible star, not talent. So again, if you guys are going to build a call center where you have like one rep and they manage 10 clients, yeah, it's very much reliant on their work ethic and their focus and their ability to get people on the phone, and just a bunch of different things that's basically talent and skill. So all of our systems allow us to be able to do everything at scale super quick, and then we can manage it a ton. So other piece is management. So again, I keep saying this, but I'll share my screen in a second. We could see like hour by hour time gaps that people are taking breaks off of, because something you have to be careful when you do a call center is time scammers. So if a lot of people want to hire overseas, the problem that they'll go through is hiring overseas. Somebody says, yes, I covered 8 hours today, but they really only worked 2. So you'll get a lot of time scammers out there. So you need to be able to see management, what's their ACR, like their answer call rate or connection rate. So if they make 100 dials, how many people are they connecting with? How long is their average call? All the calls are recorded. What are they saying on it? You can even see that really easy management with AI and Hot Prospector. So you can see like, yeah, they're mostly talking about this. Here's where you lost this call. This is the most common objection that we get. All that's built in. So the management is insane. And last thing is the ACR. It's called multiple things. ACR, answer call rate, answer connection rate, whatever you guys want to call it, pickup rate. It's all the same thing. So we noticed when we used GHL specifically, our answer rate was terrible because the numbers kept getting flagged as spam. So if we're dialing hundreds of people a day with a potential scam caller ID, they're not going to pick up. So then we went to Wave, and it got up to like 6%, I think. So definitely improving, because we just like tripled it. Then we tried Kixie. There was a couple other things. We tried coding. The highest I think we ever got it was to like 8%, and that was pretty good for us. So we're dialing 100 people, we're talking to 8. Now at this point, because we implemented number pulling, caller ID, and a couple third-party softwares that I'll tell you guys about that connect with Hot Prospector, we've seen the ACR, the connection rate, be as high as 20%. But here's the big but. We're just getting started. Like, we just started implementing some of these things, and again, we're 4.5 months in. I really think we can get this number to 30% plus. So if we make 100 dials, we're talking to 30 people. That's our first company benchmark, and we'll be able to do it with all the systems that I'm going to share with you guys. But I just wanted to go over it quickly, and I'll share my screen and kind of walk through everything that Hot Prospector does and how you guys can set it up too. All right, I got something super exciting. So I know you guys just thought I was going to hop in and share my screen. I tried it a couple times, and I'm like, I'm not that good. Like, I'm a generalist, I'm the CEO. I know kind of how everything works, but I don't know every little detail and button, and it's a software, and that's not my skill. So I went up and hit the live chat in Hot Prospector. They're super responsive, and somebody reached back out. We were going over a couple things that we needed inside of it, and I was like, by the way, I'm making a YouTube video, and I'm highlighting Hot Prospector since we've used it for so long. Love everything you guys do. Cheers, Hunter. And Mark, the owner, reached out back through the chat, and he was like, hey, Hunter, I'd love to be on it. He said, when can you do it? So yeah, I'm gonna get Mark on, and we're gonna go through a Zoom and share his screen and walk through Hot Prospector and some of the setup details and kind of how we use it as a company. And yeah, I can't believe he did that. So let's freaking go. All right, what's up, guys? So now I actually got Mr. Mark Helton. Mark is actually the creator of Hot Prospector. So I wanted to give you guys a ton of value. Hot Prospector, like I said, is something we've been using for a long time now. This is what I used inside of my first agency, but Mark's grown this so much over the last couple of years. So we're using it in our new agency, and this is the one that we scaled to 330K in like 4.5 months, and we're shooting for $1 million a month in 2025. So Mark, I'll let you introduce yourself, but can you tell us like why you built Hot Prospector and like, I guess, what it's specifically for to solve so people understand?
Yeah, so thanks, Hunter. So basically what Hot Prospector has always been about is making it simple for sales guys to get in touch with their leads as fast as possible because, we all know that when a lead opts in, their attention span is really short. They're going to go somewhere else if you don't call them and go, you're going to lose that business. So for us, it was really important to solve that problem and also, make it easy for sales guys to get in touch with their leads constantly after that approach, because what we've also seen happen is sales guys get lost on their, like, who do I call next type of thing. So Hot Prospector handles all of the cadencing of the lead to make it just, you don't have to think, you just dial.
I'll blur some of the names and stuff, but can we go through like setup, what they should look for, like key features, and I guess like a simple way of build out?
The first thing that I always like to focus on is the speed to lead number. The speed to lead is by far the most important metric at an agency that anybody should be tracking. If you can't get that number under 5 minutes, you're going to struggle with converting on your leads. So, in order to get speed to lead under that metric or under 5 minutes, there's a few big things that you want to take in consideration. Number one, that you have enough people dialing on the leads. And number two, that they have a way to get those leads in their, in front of them as quickly as possible. So my approach when it comes to the integration with High Level is every single sub account that you have inside of your account is going to be connected and synced. So here, as you can, see, you have all of your sub accounts synced up inside of this account, and all of your leads are going into one specific group, which is actually being managed in single campaigns. And so in those campaigns, which a campaign is a dialing approach that allows you to like set up specific ways that you want to dial and stuff. We can get into more details if you want on that. But essentially those leads go into that campaign, and then you have one or multiple agents that are dialing on those campaigns to make sure that they're able to call the leads as quickly as possible. So the syncing is connecting not just the lead, but the notes, the fields, the tags, the calendars, like everything that happens inside of High Level and Hot Prospector are connected 100%. So when you start the campaign, there's a couple of different features that we give you out of the box that I think is pretty powerful, allows you to control the list that you're dialing. There's these filters that if you're dispositioning leads in certain call statuses, if you wanted to focus on calling specific filters throughout the day, let me give you kind of an example. Let's say that you have a specific filter for Spanish speaking leads. Maybe you have somebody on your team who's specifically focused on Spanish. If those dispositions get marked as Spanish, then you could have those leads going to that Spanish speaking person. So those filters are pretty handy. And those are all based off of call disposition. The other one is time zones. So if you're dialing leads that are in certain time zones, then you might want to kind of control, especially if you have clients that are national, you might want to control when you're calling leads that are in those specific time zones. One, because of compliance reasons, regulations, but the other one, which is a big one, is it's more effective to call a lead during certain times of the day to get a higher answer rate. So for example, if you're calling somebody at 6 o'clock, their time when they've gotten off of work, you're likely to get them to answer than if you're calling them during the middle of their day. And so if I have, leads on the East Coast, I might want to focus on them on my PST leads or what have you. And you'll see that the leads actually, or sorry, you have this time here that shows you what time it is where your leads are as well. Something else that's really handy is if you have sub accounts from high level that are in different time zones. And I don't know if you do a lot of advertising, Hunter. Sometimes when somebody opts in, they might have a phone number from Florida, but now they live in California. And so they've carried that phone number. Most of the systems out there, when it comes to the local area code tracking or whatever for time zone, they don't take into account anything besides area code. We take into account first their address, where they're located. So if you get that address, then we can put the lead's time zone based off the address. But many people who are advertising on Facebook don't get that. And so what we've done is we've added a feature that allows you to set a specific time zone for your sub account. Because a lot of the companies that most of the agencies are advertising for are only advertising in one specific region or area. And so with that in mind, if you say my clients are all in Pacific, then no matter where those leads are, they're always going to show in that Pacific time zone when they get added inside of Hot Prospector. So it just makes it easier for you to manage your time zones effectively.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're not calling people at 6 a.m.
Exactly. You're not calling them at 6 a.m. and they're like now not happy and not wanting to convert because you woke them up. So click on the start dialing button whenever you've decided you've got your filters the way you want. And as you see, as soon as you click on the dial button, you're live. Your phone is ringing. I like to have kind of a field of view that shows me everything that I need to know about that lead right in front of me. So for me, there's a couple of really important things. Obviously, you have to have the contact information. The other is the note. And so here you can see this note on your system shows what happened the last time you called. This is an automatic summary of the previous call. So when the agent is looking at their notes, they can look over and say, this is what happened last time, and keeps them up to speed on things. Also, if you have a specific phone script that you want to show, either for the campaign or a certain type of lead, we give you a simple button you can click that'll show that script, as well as any rebuttals or anything like that that the agent needs to give right in their field of view. And then over here on the right, we have our call dispositions. Normally, maybe they weren't interested, maybe they were out of the area, maybe they said they didn't even opt in. Those types of things happen. In order to make it easy for the agent to go to the next lead without having to write a book of notes inside of the system, we made it so you can literally just click a button. It's going to timestamp, add that disposition into your notes. So tracking is simple. It's going to put that lead into the right bucket of where it should be and move to the next call. Up here at the top, you'll notice that big green box that is actually telling the agent what sub account they're dialing for. So if they have like 10, 20 different clients inside of one campaign, it's really easy for them to know who they're dialing for because it's right there. Says, hey, this is the name of the company. We also support the custom values from high level. So if you wanted to insert custom values that have things like the location, special offers, hours of operation, those can be displayed here. So the agent doesn't have to go looking around to find them when they get a lead for a specific sub account. So now speaking about the reporting area, these are numbers that you can see that are actually being updated in real time. So you can see that you have 10 agents that are logged in. Out of those agents that are logged in, you've got, different colors here that represent who is actively dialing, or they're in between calls, or, maybe they've logged out. Hot Prospector also supports teams. So if you have multiple teams and you want to segment them into those teams, you can. So it makes it easy for different managers that are looking at metrics for their own people. Here you can see all of the dials that they're making or that they've made for the day. You can see any of the inbound calls that they've taken, their actual talk time. For me, talk time is probably one of my most important metrics that I look at, because if somebody's making a lot of calls but their talk time is really low, it points to the fact they might actually have a problem getting the prospect to engage and have a conversation. So it makes a really easy metric for you to look into, decide if you need to coach them. When they made their first call for the day, I'm a big believer in first thing you should do if you're supposed to start at 9 a.m., at 9:01, I should see that first call. And then the last call that they made. So if you're just taking a glance, you're like, hey, it's after lunch, what's going on? It's easy for you to see who's dialing and who's not dialing. There's other metrics as well, which I personally love when it comes to the, management of remote talent. Can sometimes, we'll just try to be kind and say they sometimes get distracted and they don't realize that they're not being effective in their role. They're not making the amount of calls throughout the day that they think they might have been making. So Hot Prospector does a really good job of keeping them focused. Whenever I bring an agent on in my agency, I always show them these numbers, because I feel like, hey, good contracts make good friends, right? So if I tell them right out the gate, this is the way that this is what we're looking at. And by the way, you can check your own metrics. It changes their perspective on things, right? They're like, oh, I'm being measured on the number of calls. I can see like how many times throughout the day that I've taken breaks and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden they can keep themselves accountable. I don't have to do it. But if they do slide outside of our kind of boundaries that we've set when we first started, it's really easy for me to jump in there and, kind of help nudge them into the right direction. You can click on that agent's name and dive into the actual details of that. So I can see from 7:06 a.m., which, by the way, looks like Casey made a call at 7:06, and then he stopped and didn't dial again for 8:26. It shows that he was gone for an hour and 20 minutes. Another thing that I think would be really ideal for everybody to take a look at is the agent profitability. So agent profitability is giving you a way to measure different agents against other agents, which is important, right? And sometimes those metrics are kind of obscure. They're hard to really identify. So with this, what we're doing is we're taking whatever your payroll numbers are. So if you add your cost, what your agent is per hour or per commission of, for each appointment that they've set, it will automatically calculate those numbers into the equation. You can also, if you don't have those numbers, you can also look at them side by side on, how many calls they're making, what's their answer rates like, how many, hours that they've worked, what's their conversions on their leads, and a lot of other, really powerful metrics. One more thing that I do want to talk about when it comes to setup is getting your answer rates high. A lot of people that are dialing inside of high level that come to me, they always say that their numbers are going straight, their calls are going straight to spam. Bringing up your answer rates, there's a few really simple ways to do that. The first thing is monitoring your numbers to make sure that they're not showing up as spam. So you can see all of your numbers are showing as clean. You can check those numbers periodically if you just click on this check button, and it'll just run those numbers against. We check against Nomo Robo and True Spam. So if those numbers do show up as a spam likely, then automatically your numbers are going to be pulled out of the dialing queue. So they cannot be used as a caller ID. But the way that we set this up in the very beginning when it comes to local presence is whenever you're working for a specific client, they're going to have their own number needed to be showing up specifically for their practice or whatever, for their leads, for their clients. And so in order to make that easy for agencies to set up, we have this option where you can assign the number to a sub account. So what'll happen is when you're dialing from the dialer, it's only going to use the phone number that should be used for that specific lead. And so that's the first thing that we do to make sure that numbers don't show up as spam, but it also makes it easy for you to have 1, 2, 3, however many numbers you want for each client to make sure that those numbers are getting rotated enough to keep your numbers from showing up as spam. A good rule of thumb that I like to practice is to keep your calls under about 70, anywhere between 70 and 100, but really, like, if you want to be really aggressive and conservative, dials under 70 per number. So if you're making 300 calls for a client per day, then you might want to have 4, numbers to really make sure that you're keeping those calls under that threshold. And what our system will do is it'll automatically rotate those numbers just to keep them from showing up as spam.
Do you have to get A2P with Hot Prospector? Or like, what do you have to do inside of Go High Level? I just forget that part.
Yeah, so when it comes to A2P, it really is a preference thing. If you're doing all of your text messages from High Level on that workflow, then you could just keep that one number A2P, and then just the other numbers could all be just for dials. And you don't have to get A2P if you're just using for dials. You're just making calls. You just need stir shaken, which is a different thing. And every single number that you have must be stir shaken. Essentially, what this does is kind of like A2P for calls. So every single call that you make is going to get kind of like a header sent to the carrier that says who you are and whether or not you should be trusted. And they trust you based off of a score. Like an A is the top, a C is the worst. If you register for stir shaken, you're automatically an A. If you don't register, you're automatically a C. And that's basically what international junk traffic is. So we always tell people, register for stir shaken and then register for like First Orion or free caller registry, just they will tell all the carriers as well. These numbers are good. It's super important. When you buy a number from Twilio or any company that sells numbers, those numbers are most likely already toast. They have been used by somebody else to make a lot of phone calls, and then they, once they get burned, they delete them and then they buy a new number. So what you want to do when you get a number, in addition to stir shaken, is register them with the free caller registry or First Orion, because that's going to kind of reset things. And now tell the carriers, oh, this is a new company. This is all good. We don't have to worry about their calls. They're good.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mark. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for always being available. And just thanks. All right, hiring. So I made a ton of mistakes hiring in the beginning, and I actually did a huge training on this for a large agency group. So I might send some B-roll into this section, because if there's anything I miss, I'm sure I covered it on that one. But in hiring, like I said, I made a ton of mistakes in the beginning. So I'm going to go over countries and which ones are the best, which ones are the worst. So let's just get started in order. Maybe we'll do like a tier list here. Apparently this is what all the kids are doing. Everybody loves a good tier list. So I'm going to start out with D, which we tried in the beginning, which is Pakistan and India. And we tried this right out the gate just because we wanted a proven concept. And this was 5 years ago. But yeah, there's a bunch of inherent problems with hiring from Pakistan and India. What our experience was, we would hire a rep and then they would go out and pay other reps to do it. So they were almost not telling us, but they were running a little agency inside of themselves. So it's hey, yeah, I'm Hunter, I want to be hired. And then the second that I get hired, I go and give it to my brother and my sister to do my work. So it didn't really work out, and that was with both Pakistan and India. The other thing that we found was accents are very important when dialing, and I'll just call the kettle black. So what a lot of Pakistan and Indian accents are associated with is sadly scammers. And it just didn't work out that much for us. And we had a bunch of call recordings of people that thought what we were doing, just setting appointments, was scamming. So we moved our call center out of there, and we didn't want to hire from Pakistan and India. The next one that we tried was the Philippines. Forgive me if I'm just gonna spell everything wrong for the rest of this video. I think there's 2 P's on that, but whatever. So in the Philippines, what we noticed is they were good. They did their work very well, but there was like a cultural gap with sales. So we found most Filipino hires, they really like to get paid a base salary and they didn't really care about commission. And I'm just generalizing, but this was like, I mean, we talked to so many people that preferred base salary over commission. And we just noticed, yeah, it's probably more of like a cultural barrier. So, by the way, one of the best hires I have ever made in my entire life, her name's Kat. She runs ops on my team. Kat, if you're watching this, you're literally the best. We couldn't run the company without you. She's from the Philippines. She's just very much more of an ops person and could give a crap about sales, just doesn't really like it. So, Philippines was good because they got the job done, but they weren't super hungry or motivated, and they were more so looking for a base salary, and they just wanted to be a part of a team. So I really like the Philippines for hiring things like ops. Then we went to A tier, which was America. And America is like, yeah, pretty much close to one of the best things that you can get. The only reason that I put it in A tier and not S tier is because the payroll is so high. And we're on like the other end of the cultural barrier here. So Americans, oftentimes, if you get a stellar American that's an appointment setter, they're immediately gonna wanna eventually grow and be a closer and make more money. You know, the cost of living is way higher in America. So you'll get people on that'll crush and they immediately wanna join the team and become a closer or something like that. And we just saw it so often. But to talk about another agency real quick, just so you don't take my word completely for it, Stevie Johnston, a YouTuber, has a bunch of subs. Again, he's at like 600K a month or something like that. His call center is completely in America and he is crushing. They're all amazing. They built an amazing culture. It just didn't work extremely well for us. So the thing that we found was South Africa, and we found a bunch of South Africans, very little accent. And to most people that aren't cultured, they think a South African accent is just like a UK accent. I can very vividly hear the differences now, but like to most Americans, they don't really know the difference. So like accent wasn't a big factor in that. Super hard workers. Payroll was still higher than the Philippines, Pakistan, and India. And we built out a fairly large team of like 6 internal sales agents, and eventually we wanted to just test out a couple employees from somewhere else, and this just ended up being the greatest thing in the world, literally in the world, like the greatest country to hire. It is Colombia. Dude, I love Colombia. The Colombians are amazing, hardest workers, perfect culture for sales. We have a completely female team. They are all studs. We love them. If any of them are watching this, you guys are literally the heart and soul of our new company. So amazing accents, Spanish, if at all. So we hire, one of the criteria is based on accents, but very minimal accent, if at all, it's Spanish, and that's like a second language in America, so nobody really cares. Super hard workers, very sales-driven culture, very passionate about their work that they do, and they take a lot of pride in it. So like, splitting them off into teams and having them brag and talk a little bit of crap to each other. Like, they're just the best culture that we've built internally. And I would highly recommend hiring from Colombia. So next step is, well, hey, how the heck do you do it? So here's what we do. It's very simple. You're gonna follow these steps. We go into Canva. We create, that looks like great. We create a still image. And it's very easy. We just say sales reps wanted. So what we do in our still image, we'll just have a silhouette of a person. It's like question mark on it. And we just create a still image where we say sales reps wanted. We run it in Colombia. We'll run like $50 a day when we need new reps. And then we have that ad. So the ad goes to a long form survey. You guys can do this a bunch of different ways. It really doesn't matter how you do it. You can do it inside of Go High Level, ClickFunnels. You can do a Google form, but we send a long form survey because what I found is really important in hiring sales reps overseas is that they don't give one-word answers on a form. They actually put a lot of thought into it, looking for English in how they write, specifically because they're going to be doing a lot of SMS text as well. So we make them fill out a long form survey. They answer a bunch of sales questions, prior experience. And then the big thing is that the last question is a video. So we say, tell us about your prior experience. And then we tell them to overcome an objection as well. So we'll say like, hey, this sounds really great, but I need to think about it. So we'll even like give them a couple little pieces in the long form of like, you know, here's a couple topics you can touch on to overcome this objection. We're really just looking at how they deliver it, looking for things like accent, and just that they're like a very people person. So we run all these ads to a female-only audience. We do long-form surveys. They go through, they talk about their sales experience, looking for English and just how they write. My vocabulary is terrible. And then the last question is that video. So they're uploading it, talking about prior experience, and then we're looking specifically at how they carry themselves. If they're super bubbly, that's fantastic, and we give them a little bit of pointers because we're really just looking for the delivery. So after that, they actually get manual approval based on our manager. His name's Brian, so we'll just put in Brian. So Brian gives manual approval and then sends us, the company owners, me and my business partner, he sends us the best looms, and then we'll hop on, we'll review like 10 of them, we pick like 5 of them, and then we end up hiring 2 of them. So if this is another big part really quick, if any of these videos we tell them in it are longer than 90 seconds, then we just automatically DQ. So we just go through and look, we don't even watch those videos, we just automatically DQ because again, this is a sales role, we want attention to detail, we want people that are organized, and these are not traditional sales qualities. So we just want to make sure that we're looking for the best of the best. So we go through, create the image, create the ad, all female audience, long form survey, video at the end, they get a manual approval, they get kicked out if it's 90 seconds or more. Brian gives us that manual approval, and then we hop on and do some interviews, which is step 2. We go to the interviews. Now on these interviews, we're looking for a couple things. So number 1, we go over our scorecard, which I told you guys about earlier, and now you saw literally what we do. So we're going over KPIs. We ask their prior experience, and we're really looking for prior experience because we can be picky since we're running ads. It's not like we have to hire anybody. 2 is we heavily set expectations. So we're talking about the above average KPIs, which if you remember, it's 9,000 dials a month. So we say, hey, straight up, are you able to make 9,000 dials a month? Because when we look down here, if you're not hitting that within 2 weeks, you're out. And we may, I always say this on interviews when we get on, and now Brian does it, hey, we might love you as a person, but if you can't hit these KPIs, we love you, but you're out, okay? And it always like gets a little laugh, but it's just setting expectations pretty harshly that like, hey, these are the standards that we have. So on the interviews, looking for prior experience, we set heavy expectations, and then we do a little bit of role play. So what we'll do is if we pick them for an interview, we send them a script, we give them 24 hours to look it over, and then we play a prospect. They hop on and they have to go through the script. Now they do not have to be good at the script yet, like at all. What we're really looking for, and what I've found, is this key character trait in salespeople, that they learn something and they implement it immediately. They're not thinking, oh, well, what if I look silly, or what does this person think about me? That is the worst thing you can possibly have in a sales rep. So we don't want that at all. So if they're fumbling over words but very quickly moving through, that's okay. If they're not hitting tonality and inflection points and being very good at sales, that's okay. But if they're like very uncomfortable, and I can see that they're very uncomfortable doing the role play, we don't want them and they're out. So that's pretty much it. We just go through and then grade on these basic 3 things. So like prior experience, we set heavy expectations and go over the role, and then we just do a role play. Whoever does best, agrees with the expectations, seems like a heavy hitter and that they're gonna crush, we just hire them. And then they go through our onboarding process in the Google Drive. They get to see all the videos on the software, how to do everything. That part takes a week. And then we're off to the races. And there has been way less question asking when we've done these specific things. So at this point in the video, basically gone over all the SOPs, onboarding, scorecards, interview process, hiring process, holding people accountable to expectations. And at this point, we kind of have the infrastructure built, and even the softwares. So yeah, I guess at this point, only thing left to do is to hop into actually managing the team and then putting it all together and building a company around it. So we'll hop into the next section. All right, now we're gonna go over actually building out your company now that you've followed all these lovely steps in building out your company with the call center, using USP or unique selling propositions, and a little bit of the sales portions around it. And yeah, just like everything else, I've made a ton of mistakes. So we're gonna go over those specifically, but really quick before I jump in, because there's really only 4 things you need to do to build your company around this call center. The first time that I kind of built out a call center in my first agency, was terrible in the beginning, then we went to white label, then we went to Columbia eventually. So we had it at the end, but through that whole time, we were just kind of like everybody else, which is what I teach vehemently against, is being like everybody else. So, there were ads being run like, in the next 30 days, we're gonna come inside your business. I absolutely hate that shit. And I think as a marketer, if you guys go scrub YouTube videos like, what's the guy, I think his name is Sabri Subi or something like that. And there's a ton of other names, but that one just comes to mind. He is an expert at sounding wildly different than everybody else, because attention is one of the most in-demand things for all marketers. So it's, how do you sound different than everybody else so that you can steal that attention that's already on the platforms in which you run ads. So I learned that over the first time and being different than everybody else, but in between my first agency and second, I actually got to work with a business owner. I've already mentioned him, but his name's Stevie Johnston. I think at this time, I don't know if it's more than this, but his agency's around $600,000 a month. It might be more at this point. I don't really know. But he's built out such a world-class call center, and he hired me for a little while to help him run ads, take a couple demos, help a little bit in sales training. He already pretty much had everything. I think it was mostly just helping out with ads. So I got to be on a bunch of ads, create a bunch of scripts, and I actually made his call center sound way different than everybody else's, because we could stand on business with the KPIs that we've actually earned. So with all these other little pipsqueak lead gen agencies that are like, yeah, we're gonna call all your leads, you wanna sound different than those people. And yeah, that's pretty much what we did inside of his business. That crushed, and now we've implemented everything that I learned over the last 2 experiences working with Stevie and working with my first agency. We plugged it into this new agency, and yeah, we're at $330K a month. And like I said before, we're looking at maybe $400K a month this month in November, and we're shooting for $1 million a month in 2025. So basically, there's only 4 things you need to do to make your call center sound different, but build your business around it in a healthy way. So first of all, we have the ads that you run. Then it should go to a VSL or video sales letter. Then it's gonna go to the demo, same thing as a sales call. And then finally, it's gonna go to an onboarding. So this is gonna be your entire cycle of bringing on new clients and building this business around your call center. So there's a couple things that we're gonna go over. So ads, and I'm gonna review some of mine in a second. Your ads have to be different, because different is better than better. This is such a dope statement that I've heard. I don't even remember where I heard it. I didn't come up with it. But different is better than better is 100% true in almost every single case. In marketing, in sales, in all jobs, copywriting, client success work. It's just better, because you have to get people to assume that everything they've tried in the past didn't work and that this time will be different. So we start by telling them that it's different, and then we show them on the back end that it's gonna be better. So our ads have to be different, and I'll break some down in a little bit. Our VSLs have to set proper expectations, and these expectations have to be believable. So this is something else that I learned. So again, these little pipsqueak agencies that are like, yeah, we have 100% show rate, just sucks. You guys aren't gonna go very far. So I'm gonna show my VSL in a little bit, but we do a bunch of damaging admissions inside of it that make us sound different already because we're truthful, but it's also believable because there's a bit of damaging admissions. So I'll go over this in a little bit so you can see that. On the demo call, we basically just reinforce these believable expectations, and then it really kind of sells itself. So if people come from the ads, they watch the VSL, they get on the demo, I'll show you guys my current closer's close rate is absolutely insane. The guy made 37 grand last month just off of closing. And yeah, he's just amazing because we're setting expectations, and we're not building this up with improper expectations so that people leave immediately. So after that, we go to the onboarding, and this is still considered a part of the sales process, and most people don't. So the onboarding is there to reinforce, just like before. So we're constantly reinforcing back to the expectations of the VSL, and then we're also just going deeper. So we're essentially doing all these four things. So the ads are going to sound different. The VSL is there to back it up and prove it. The demo is there to reinforce the VSL, and the onboarding is there to reinforce the demo, the VSL, and the ad. So everything in congruency around this will make sure that your clients have a really good experience. They already know about how the call center is going to work. They really won't have any questions after going through these four things. And I'll show you guys how to build out each one of these. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump in and I'll start with some ads, and we'll move to a VSL, then a demo, then an onboarding. Okay, so let's go from ads to VSL to sales call to onboarding so that we can build our company around the call center itself, set people with great expectations, and go from there. So first thing that I was saying before, we have to sound different than everybody else. I'm gonna stop talking trash in the next 30 days, people. I just hate that ad copy. So yep, I'll go over a couple video examples right now. So let's pull up the first ad. Now going into this, we just wanna sound different because again, different is better than better. So a lot of times, you don't need to flex all these crazy results. I find that it normally brings the worst type of client. So I could very easily brag about all of our call center results on the ads themselves, but I really kind of keep it vague and I make it sound interesting, like a new thing. So all I want is a low cost per booked call or cost per lead. So I just have to keep it interesting. That's the main thing, is to keep the ads interesting without giving it all away. And then the VSL, it's almost like we under promise with the ad, and then when they see the VSL, we just wildly over deliver. So our sales calls are absolutely stupid. Normally we get like 2 to 5 signups every single day that are like 5K swipes over and over and over. And we're just delivering for our people so they love us. This is like the greatest company I've ever built. So without further ado, let me jump into one of the first ad examples. If you're a life insurance agent selling IUL and mortgage protection, here's how we're able to write whale policies literally every single day while doing way less work than you. All we do is get high intent mortgage protection and IUL leads, and then we let our ISAs or internal sales agents do all of the dialing for us. So what $1 million a month looks like to our agents is way different than it probably looks like for you. Because these guys that are writing $136,000 in APV a month are just letting their internal sales agents do all of the appointment setting for them. They're taking appointments and writing policies, and that's it. So if you're a life insurance agent selling mortgage protection and IUL, and you want high intent leads and an internal sales agent to do all of your appointment setting for you so that you can look like these guys and these guys, then all you got to do is click learn more below and we'll set you up with the same exact system that all these guys are using. So this ad is crushing without giving it all away. It's pretty vague, but it just talks about working smarter, not harder. So that's a great one for our industry because most people don't even know that you can have somebody dial your lead. So here's one of the best performing ads right now. Let me go ahead and play this. If you're a life insurance agent selling IUL and mortgage protection, all of these guys are setting record APV months while you're fumbling around like a raccoon in my backyard. It's kind of cute. So if you want to be like all of these agents that are setting record APV months, you need high intent mortgage protection and IUL leads, and you need the secret thing that nobody else in the industry is doing. It's also the exact same thing that these guys are doing to write over $100,000 in APV every single month. And it's called an ISA or internal sales agent. So all these guys that are setting record-breaking months every single month are actually making way more money than you and working way less hard than you. Because their internal sales agent dials for 4 to 6 hours a day, setting them appointments, so all they do is show up and take their preset appointments and write whale policies like the $60,000 one right here. So if you're a life insurance agent selling mortgage protection and IUL and you want to work way less hard while making way more money, then click learn more below and we'll set you up with the same exact system. Cool, so same thing. It sounds like people are intrigued. They don't know exactly what it is. So if you guys are doing ads, you want to make it sound like you have the unique selling thing, the USP, your uniqueness nobody else has. So there's a lot of people that kind of have what we have. You know, they have like some dialers, some ISAs, but their call centers suck. So I'm just making it sound different than everybody else. Like, you know, it's simple. They do one thing and they also do this one secret that nobody talks about. And I use different terminology. Nobody in this industry really calls an internal sales agent ISA what it is. They'll normally call it like a virtual assistant or an appointment setter or an SDR, something like that. So we make it sound different. It's very interesting. We flex the end result because you don't really, you know, you don't have to flex KPIs of like show rate and stuff like that unless that's what your clients really care about. It's something that we actually did with Stevie at his company because his call center really stressed show rate. So yeah, we made it sound very interesting and different. And then this gets us a very good lead cost and cost per booked call. And then it goes right into the VSL. All right, now I'm gonna breeze through this VSL. This was an updated one. We already have 156 views. I think this was posted November 14th and it's November 27th. So we get a lot of traction to this specific VSL. A lot of people before the first VSL, we had a crazy amount of comments down here. So it's awesome. Like if you guys put something on Loom, you will get a lot of clients or potential clients rather and leads that add comments and they're like, dude, I don't believe this, can't wait for our call, stuff like that. Like we get a crazy amount of positivity from our VSL. And here's where we just underpromise by selling a unique thing that nobody really knows about, but click here and we'll talk about it more. So this VSL is just gonna blow them away. So I don't wanna go too deep on VSL trainings. There's a bunch of great trainings out there. I mean, I can give you names of people to check out. Maybe we can do a training on that later. I just don't want this video to be like hours and hours long so you guys can get value quickly. But you can kind of copy this VSL as a framework. So let's jump into this.
All right, hey, what's going on? I'm your host, Hunter Soroy, and I'm going to be telling you all about why we're blowing up at such a rapid pace.
And I'm going to go ahead and speed up this video just for the sake of time. I'm going to put it at 1.5.
Making from the last video a couple updates, and that got a ton of good feedback. So if you guys want to drop any comments, you can do that below. If you want to speed up this video so that it's moving a little bit quicker, you can always change the speed to 1.5 in the bottom. So let's go ahead and get started. So a couple things before I jump in, if you guys want to see why our agent.
So really quickly, all I do to get started is say like, hey, this video is going to be 8 or 9 minutes. You can throw it on 1.5 speed if you want, and then I flex some prior results. So before I even had the first VSL, or rather when I had the first VSL, I didn't have anything to flex besides client results. So I flexed that, hey, I've already done a marketing agency, we scaled it and sold it, so we're just implementing the same exact thing here. If you want to throw this video on 1.5 speed, you can. And then I jump right into client results. So I real quick paint the end goal picture showing them that it's possible, and then I go into how. So let's check that out.
We're having insane success, like whale policies being written literally every day, one for 24,000. 3,000, a bunch, 30,000, 12,000, 28,000, 24,000, and why leaderboards. I mean, this is what so far, what date was this? The 25th. So this is literally like halfway through the month. Like most everybody's above 20,000 in issue premium. I'm going to show you guys exactly how. So we do a couple things different here. If you guys have heard some of this before, I promise there's going to be something new in what I go over today. So I would stick around. So let's real quick jump in. Here's what makes us different. We're not going to have you wasting your time with unserious prospects. We're not going to turn you into a glorified call center. In fact, we're going to take 80% of your work off your plate. And if you guys just do a couple things alongside of us, you're going to have tremendous results like everybody else. So real quick, obviously the churn rate in this industry is super, super high. And I think it's a time equation. People never figure out in the insurance agency how to buy back their time. So what they do is they're dialing for 6 to 8 hours every single day. But imagine if you worked with a team that was able to get your dialing down to 1, maybe 2 hours every single month, and you were still doing record production. That's what we do here. So we're going to pack out your calendar with qualified leads. We're going to give you leverage inside of your business, and we're going to 3 to 5x your production. But here's the thing. We charge the same, if not less, than most every other marketing agency you will ever hear about. We just charge per lead. So what we're going to do in a nutshell is...
So just really quick to go back to that. Number one, this is something I don't want to kiss Stevie Johnson's ass too much. Stevie, if you're watching this, love you. But I got this slide from Stevie. So yeah, it's just what the system's not going to do, what the system is going to do. I talk about the churn rate being so high. And then right here, I already set expectations heavily on price. So our sales calls are not like traditional lead gen sales calls. It's not like a 45-minute to a half hour to an hour call where we're like, what are your hopes and dreams, sir? We're not, like, you don't even really have to find a gap because we've created the system so well that these calls are really like 20 to 25 minutes and we're ending it with 5K. Our close rate is absolutely stupid. So it's all because I'm harboring expectations right out the gate. So most people that we target, they're already spending money on marketing. So I'm like, hey, we can spend the exact same amount, but you'll get way more production because we have this unique selling thing. So I'm already like showing them that they don't have to spend a ton more money. So very, very easy for them to say yes to me. And also I feel like it'll weed out the losers that don't want to pay at all.
But here's the thing. We charge the same, if not less, than most every other marketing agency you will ever hear about. We just charge per lead. So what we're going to do in a nutshell is go over how we use our expert targeted ads, leads fill out long form surveys, and then they go to our human call center that actually qualifies people, goes over, medical history, criminal report, things like that, so that you guys can know if they can qualify for an IUL or pivot to something else. So really all you guys are doing is taking qualified appointments along with a few other things. So step one is to use all of our different targeting, and this is no bait and switch. So if you guys have ever worked with a company, you picked up a phone call or you called somebody and you got a lead that was like, hey Hunter, what the hell is this? I never signed up for life insurance. It's because they're running BS. And it actually really ticks me me off as a life insurance agent myself because I used to buy these leads too. So if you guys ever see ads running with a call to action that's like, hey, opt in to get a free gift card or a free ebook, or hey, your 401k is a trap, find out here how to solve it. And then they fill out this thing and you call them about life insurance. They're like, I never signed up for life insurance. What even is this? All of our call to actions is, hey, here's a cash value life insurance policy. Here's why it's good for tax-free income, tax-free retirement, retirement strategies, death benefits, things that you can get approved for without even needing a medical underwriting report or going through with any doctors or physicians or anything like that. It's very easy. And these people want a cash value life insurance policy.
So real quick, what I'm doing here, if you guys want to establish a really good VSL when talking about your call center, here's how VSLs should be structured. You need to take somebody from point A to point B, so their current state to their future state, but in that bridge that you're creating, you have to simultaneously explain why everything that they tried in the past didn't work and why this time will be different. I got that from Cole Gordon. I don't know if he got it from somebody else. I'm just name dropping this whole video, but yeah, there's a bunch of great mentors out there. So you don't have to take my word for all of this. I'm just pulling it from a bunch of other people. So throughout this entire process, I'm explaining why what they tried in the past sucks. So different like calls to action and ads and why their leads didn't work in the first place. So I'm already like, okay, now I've established trust that the leads are going to be really good. And then we eventually move to the call center, which is another USP.
So we use all of our different expert targeted ads. We have tons of actors, tons of still images, a bunch of creatives that actually work, and we've tested this out quite a bit. So here's just an example of one ad, and we have hundreds, so we can show you more later, but for the sake of time, we're gonna keep going. All the leads that we sell our clients here, our life insurance agents, they're 100% exclusive. There is no shared leads, which is a huge problem in this industry. If you guys are buying shared leads, congratulations. If you bust your ass to sell somebody a policy and you go write that, somebody's gonna come right underneath you and rewrite that. They might not even be honest. They probably don't have integrity, and they're just gonna say that you did something wrong. And we all know how that goes. It's just such an absolute waste of time. So the other thing is our CRM is completely built out from start to finish with text, email drips. A lot of other people have this, but they don't have exactly what we have inside here. So there's some very cool tactics that we use to increase conversation rates, which we can go over on another call, but it is just maximized to the gills. Like I've never seen anything personally as effective. So we're not gonna deal with any leads that have no idea what this is about. I'm not gonna have you spending 8 hours per day dialing. In fact, we could probably get it down to an hour or two a month max. And we're not gonna talk to anybody who's not serious and ready to have a conversation.
So here's where I'm already establishing expectations. So expectations are gonna be set through the VSL, through the sales call, and then reinforced on the onboarding call as well. But we're very honest with new clients that sign up, because if we set the right expectations, they're gonna stick around for way longer and be way happier. So I almost set the expectations lower than they should be. So for example, if somebody signs up with us, they can 100% make a lot of money if they just let our call center work. But I want to make them the most amount of money. So I tell them, I don't tell them, yeah, you'll never have to dial a lead again, because I don't want to BS people. I say, yeah, I can get your, 100 hours of dialing a month down to like 5. So that's the real goal. So all the new leads that come in, which is an expectation that we set, our clients should dial those guys immediately. But if they can't pick up or anything like that, our ISA call center is going to do all of the work. So something that we say on the sales call and the onboarding call is that we'll do 80% of the work. We just need you to do that 20. So it really doesn't matter what niche you're in. I mean, if you're in whatever, car sales, insurance, chiropractors, med spas, physical therapists, like, yeah, you should be able to do all of the dialing, but I would highly encourage you to involve your clients in it too, just because they'll get better results. So yeah, they don't need to solely rely 100% on your call center, and I think that you're setting yourself up for failure. So the damaging admission for us is, yeah, we do 80% of the work. We never claim to do 100. I just need you guys to do that 20% because it's your highest leverage action. Because if you get somebody on the phone, in our niche, they can close them right there. So if they get somebody on the phone, it's literally a 100% show rate. So that's just setting expectations up front.
This is a huge thing that separates us at Infinity Box. We have AI appointment setting via text. And I want to be, if this is the first time you guys have heard this, surprise, AI is not there yet to call. There's a ton of companies that I could list their names that are going through lawsuits because they're so bad. But I don't want to burst your bubble. If you came here for AI callers, I promise you I've been doing this for 8 years. It doesn't work and it's not there yet. Maybe give it another year or two and who knows, maybe it will be. But our call center is a completely female-led team, and we worked with males and females massively outperformed. So they're a massive call center of females that call all of your leads, nurture them through text, and they'll jump in with the AI and help you out with that. They're setting appointments. They're finding out about people's any soft medical conditions, criminal report, how many kids do they have, what do they do for work, what's their annual income, who's the beneficiary, why did they sign up for this in the first place, why is this important to them? They're going through that appointment setting sales process that you guys would have to do, and they're just doing it all for you. I have a bunch of metrics and how we're actually getting agents to have a 70% show rate with the appointments that we set them, which, hang on, if you just didn't hear me, 70%, That is astronomical in this industry. The average show rate is 20 to 30%. So to get to a 70% show rate, we're doing things differently. We're doing same-day bookings that we highly recommend that you take us up on. We're texting people reminders, virtual business cards, making great connections, and hyping you up as the senior underwriter that you have all the knowledge and expertise and that they need to listen to you. So ask us more about our 70% show rate and how we get it there when every single other agency you'll ever work with will not come close to that. I think our lowest show rate ever, if you don't do anything we tell you, is 50%, which is still way higher than everybody else. So here's some CRM.
Yeah, you guys can tell throughout this VSL, I just know my shit. So like people that come on sales calls, they go through an onboarding, they'll like never really see me inside the company, but they'll still like ask to talk to me just because I really stuck out and I'm memorable because yeah, I really know my stuff. So I'm going over, yeah, everything you tried in the past didn't work. Here's why. It's a lead quality issue. Also, you don't have enough time to dial all of these leads and then take all of these appointments, make sure that your appointments are showing and then sell them. So all we're saying is, yeah, we'll do 80% of the work. We're gonna get your 100 hours of dialing down to like 2 to 5. And yeah, so now I'm gonna go in another unique selling proposition and why what they're doing isn't working.
Problems. Most CRMs you guys use to dial are super slow. The connections rates suck. You guys, if you're dialing out of Go High Level, which all these agencies use, we use it too, it's just a tool, but if you're dialing out of Go High Level, you're going to show up as spam likely, potential scam, unknown number, happens to everyone all the time. And GHL, for example, doesn't have number pooling, so that just means you can call from a bunch of different numbers throughout the day. You will get flagged as spam. So in comes our special CRM, Hot Prospector. So when we dial, often depending on the carrier, it will come up. We can see we made 150,000 dials, 53,000 people picked up. Are you kidding me? A 30% connection rate? It doesn't exist anywhere else. It might be 2 to 5%. So when we use all these things in congruency, it has a massive, massive effect over your monthly production. This is not something that, 1 + 1 = 2. We have 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 100. There's no silver bullet in marketing. There's just 100 gold BBs. If we fire that shotgun at the wall, all these things in congruency are going to hit, and it's massively going to help you as an agent and maximize your time. So we're verifying contact info, leads to know why you're calling. Most of our agents get a 3 to 1 ROI pretty much immediately.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I don't think there's anybody out there making VSLs like your boy. So extremely confident. You can tell that I'm extremely experienced. Obviously, like I said, explaining why things in the past didn't work. And then I'm just pulling everything. So like your guys, this is like a side tangent I won't get in too much. But if you really want to be able to persuade people, because we talk about sales so much on this channel, your information diet needs to be crazy. Like you need to be consuming literally everybody's content all the time while you're working out in the morning. Like I'm on YouTube like 10 hours a day in the background, just soaking stuff up so that I can say, like, I think that was a Hermosi quote. I don't know. I think he said it, but like, yeah, there's no silver bullet in marketing. There's just 100 gold BBs. So like people are watching this, hearing this for the first time, and they think that I'm him, dude. They think that I'm him, but I'm really not. I'm just a compilation of everything that I've learned. So yeah, this VSL we get a lot of people that are really hyped up.
And this is the nurturing sequence. So if you guys are here for a long time, which I really hope you are, because we've built an amazing thing here at Infinity Box, the longer you guys are here, actually the better. You're gonna have way more opportunities, and you're gonna see that these people over time get nurtured. Our call centers reaching out, texts, email drips, everything to make this the absolute most no-brainer thing you've ever heard. And lastly, guys, I promise you, we charge less, if not the same as everyone else. We just do way more. And it's why agents are joining us in droves. We normally get 8 to 12 agents signing up with us every single day, and we welcome the demand because we have the team for it, we have the size, and we have the tenacity. So if you guys are getting as fired up as I am about this pretty much one-of-a-kind system, go ahead and click learn more below. Go ahead and book a call if you haven't already. If you have, we'll see you there. We'll walk you through all these numbers. Ask us a little bit more about this, take some notes, and we'll jump in and answer some more for you. Talk soon, guys. Let's set some records.
Yeah, so this VSL is crazy good. I mean, I don't think we need to break it down a ton. I can do a ton of VSL trainings on another video. I just wanted to basically go over that. I'm setting expectations up front. I don't want to set improper expectations on the call center. So I'm telling them, yeah, we're going to do 80% of the work, you do 20. We tell them that on the sales call. We tell them that on the onboarding, which I'm about to go over. So everything has to be in alignment with expectations. Otherwise, your clients are going to have a terrible experience. I can like play a sales call another time, but I mean, I've done like so many sales call recordings on this YouTube channel. You guys can just check those out. Nothing really changes for the offer. It's just that this offer that we're running is so systemized that people see the ads, it's really unique, and they're like, okay, you had my, curiosity, but now you got my attention.
Gentlemen, you have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
So then they come on the VSL and their expectations are just blown away. They're extremely excited, but it's like I said previously. So all of our results are believable because I've explained why everything in the past didn't work and why this time will be different. And I've put USP, unique selling proposition, around what they've tried in the past and why this time will be different. So they need this unique thing to come in and solve their problem because different is always better than better. And I can back that up all day with everything that I've learned. So, and you guys can too. You just like have to copy all this. So yep, not gonna play a sales call recording on this. I mean, there's tons. So just, yeah, really quick, they're normally like 20 to 25 minutes. We go through, we just say, hey, did you watch the video? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, okay, great. So what are you currently spending on your marketing? We go through a BANT framework, budget, authority, need, timeline. If we go through that and they have the budget for it, we just drop the price. And people tend to sign up because this is just a crazy offer. So yeah, like all the sales tactics that I teach on this channel, the better your offer, the way easier time you will have selling it. So like this is the greatest offer we've ever built, and we're also building an insurance brokerage ourselves so that we can use our own marketing to crush it. So more on that later. But okay, great. So after the sales call, when they hop on the onboarding, we're reinforcing expectations again on the call center. So it's welcome to the family. Here's how everything works. Leads watch ads, they click, they answer a survey, they give their contact info, they're added to our campaigns, and then we start calling them. So here's the ISA team, our internal sales agents. Their responsibilities are to contact new leads that come through our different channels. They manage all the tools to ensure communication with the leads, and then they schedule appointments so that our people can check the notes. So here's where I start breaking down expectations. Our top clients are the ones who actively call their leads. Taking initiative is key to success. Keep reaching out and keep seeing results. So what we tell clients is, hey, at the end of the day, this is really your business. So nobody's gonna care about your business like you do. So we might not be up at midnight thinking how we can get you better results, but you will. So we're gonna do the 80% of the work, which is dialing all of the leads when they come in, but your 20%, Mr. Prospect, Mr. New Client, is so important. It's your highest leverage action. So your 20% is to just call new leads when they come in. If they pick up, great, just one call, close them, because in our niche, they can do that. So yeah, we just tell our people to call new leads and we're gonna call within 5 minutes. So if they can get to them quicker than us, that's their highest leverage action. Show rate, here's improving show rates. Yep, communicating with our ISAs boosts efficiency. We can help rebook no-shows, but our agents who do the best make sure that they take ownership over their show rate. So this is where we talk about some strategies like, hey, even though we've set the appointment and we have reminder text, why don't you go ahead and text them from your personal phone, send them a virtual business card, something like that to ensure the show rate's higher. This is also where we tell them, yeah, if we book 1 to 6 days out, we have like a 55% show rate, but if we book same day, we have a 70% show rate. So we always try and get our clients to book same day. So here's expectations. You'll get obviously the amount of leads that you purchased. Some days might be slower than others. Your ISA is calling and texting the leads. Traction will improve as days go by because we just tell them, yeah, you might get 20 to 30 leads in 2 weeks. However, it might take us 4 to 6 connections or calls or attempts to actually get in touch with them. So that those 4 to 6 attempts, those might happen over a week and a half. So like, don't be surprised if the first week or two is really slow. So we always tell our people that. Maintenance, not very important. Cancellation, if you decide to go in a different direction, they have to cancel 48 hours before their next billing cycle. Here's next steps. There's a success course that we built for all of our clients, and it explains the software. Like it explains Hot Prospector, it explains Go High Level. It even has like ISA scripts that we use so our people can use it themselves. But yeah, then we just have, referring friend stuff, downloading the app on their phone. We create them a virtual business card, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this because the 4 things, so the ad to the VSL, to the sales call, to the onboarding, we are constantly reinforcing expectations, and we actually take it really seriously if a client comes to us with improper expectations, because the first blame that we're gonna put is on ourselves. And there's been clients that have come to us that they just have wildly poor expectations. They've never done anything marketing in their life. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, and it can be very frustrating, but we always try and take that ownership on ourselves to make expectations better. So yeah, I've consulted a lot of different lead gen agencies and business owners in general that do call centers. My biggest thing that I can save you guys a lot of headache is to set very believable, almost under-promising expectations. But if you have a very good VSL and you show end results that make it all make sense, then they'll go ahead and buy. And then if you reinforce that throughout the whole entire process of the client journey where the clients are working with you, they're gonna have a great experience. They're gonna refer a lot of friends. Dude, I think we literally got like 28 referrals last month, and we're not even trying. We're gonna go hard for Black Friday. I think we can pull 60 referrals this month at 5K each, which is insane. So yeah, road to $1 million a month is looking pretty good for 2025. Awesome, guys. Hope you got a ton of free value out of the video today. Now, I don't sell anything. I don't do any courses or any consulting right now. So the only way that you guys can repay me for this video today, now that you understand why it's so important to build a call center, infrastructure, SOPs, hiring, softwares, everything to build it, please do it. Please don't go into 2025 and be another commodity and be looking for the next best business opportunity because this one didn't work out. I promise you, if you can solve retention by building an amazing product, which this call center will do, you guys can absolutely print money too. Awesome, so I'm gonna go ahead and post a bunch of links and resources down in the description of everything that you'll need to build this out. But guys, one more time, you're either choosing this year to be another commodity or you can go make some money. So choice is yours, good luck.